Welcome to Blake Street Banter, where one of us knows what the word banter means. The other one is just along for the ride. I am joined by Albuquerque Isotopes outfielder Jmmy Herron. How are you, big dog?
Good. Good to be here.
Yeah, thank you for doing this. I think you're our first clubhouse interview right now. This is the first time we've had a pregame conversation with somebody. So thank you for being that guy.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So
Had a day today. No on-field BP, so got some time to kill anyway.
okay, good. Well, I'm glad we can be part of that there. So no on-field BP today, the rain's happening. So what is kind of the routine when things are kind of thrown off like this?
We just show up a little later. Position players is more just hitting the cage and get ready for the game. Sometimes we'll do some grounds outside, throw a little if you want, but it's more kind of get what you need to get ready to play.
So whatever you can do and will do and just kind of get it in there. All right. Do you like the rainy days? Do you like the late starters like that?
It depends. Sometimes they're nice. We usually get maybe one a week, every other week. Try to keep you fresh. Stay away from the field a little longer sometimes, so it can help.
Yeah. And then last little question about rain. Do you guys get excited about rain days? Like rain games? Like a kid with snow days?
Kind of, yeah. It's like just something different. But we don't get a lot here, and it's kind of nice to keep the usual schedule. Because the rain out does change some things up, the pitching rotation, and then
Yeah.
you showed up, but then it's like, oh, never mind, and then you got two the next day. So, but sometimes it's nice to just, kind of switch up the routine.
Yeah, just have that little spice, so to speak. Yeah, I've always kind of wondered because I'm in education, so the snow day,
It's probably not as exciting as a snow day.
no, I don't think so. Especially when you've already kind of planned your day around it being at the ballpark and being there late and that kind of stuff. So it's not quite the same, I'm sure. But yeah, so let's go through real quick, you're kind of being drafted and that kind of stuff. I thought it was interesting. So you're from Duke, you played at Duke, but I've never seen somebody drafted twice in college. It's usually in high school and then 2 or 3 years later, right? You get drafted in college. So
Yeah.
when I saw that, I noticed so you're drafted in the 31st round in 2017 and then the third round in 2018. But your numbers were really similar, to each one of those years. Can you, I don't know, just give a quick synopsis of what that was like and why you said no the first time, second time yes?
Yeah. So I was just a little bit older for my grade, so I was sophomore eligible. There's some rule, I don't know the exact number of days, but if you turn 21 50 days after the draft and you're in college, you're eligible. So I was eligible my sophomore year, which I really wasn't aware of. I really wasn't thinking about playing professionally yet. I was just, we were trying to play good baseball and, make the postseason. And, I just had a couple good years. And then later year, I started getting, I think a scout called me and I was kind of confused. And then he's like, yeah, you're eligible. And it happened all really quickly. It wasn't super, I never really thought I was going to sign after that year. I definitely thought about it, so I was like, I knew I wanted to play professionally. And I was like, all right, well, if it makes more sense to go now, maybe I should. But, it ended up working out. I definitely wanted to go back to school for that junior season. We had a good team, and I figured if I did what I had been doing, I would get picked again. So yeah,
So
it was a lot. It happened pretty quick at the end of the year.
yeah, so when you say pretty quick, is that a week, a month?
Kind of. I mean, I remember we so I really wasn't really aware of it. In our last series of the year, we were playing at North Carolina. They had a bunch of really big prospects. I think they had 3 players picked in the first round that year. So there were a ton of scouts at this series, and I played really well, and I had a good season. It was the end of the season, and then it kind of, I think word just kind of got out, and I started getting some attention, and I was like, oh wow, the draft is in 3 or 4 weeks. And I was like, man, I really wasn't expecting this. I was had plans to play in Cape Cod, which I was really looking forward to. So it was kind of just like, oh, I wasn't really, I didn't have an agent either yet. So I
Yeah.
wasn't really prepared for it, but it was never really the plan. It was kind of, play my 3 years, do the best I can, and hopefully get drafted after that junior year. But yeah, so it was fun though. I mean, it was.
Yeah, it's almost probably better because it kind of gave you like that quick learning experience, can kind of get you ready for the next year, like when it all like was going to be real, and kind of set you up for success in that way.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of started to communicate with some scouts and fill out, some of the questionnaires and like start to understand how that all worked. So I did get a little taste of it before your junior year, which is when it's kind of the whole year is you have to deal with more of that stuff.
Yeah, that's that's pretty crazy. Very unique. Though I was kind of taken aback when I was doing that research. I was like, oh wow, that's insane.
Yeah.
So like this year, so let's jump ahead. What, 7 years? We 7 years in now?
I guess so.
Six,
Doesn't
six,
feel
7
like
years.
it, but
Yeah. Like, has it gone fast? Like, has it kind of gone what you've expected?
it's definitely gone fast. I mean, I think it's hard to say it's gone how you expected because, the game of baseball is pretty crazy. It's kind of hard to predict what the next year could hold. So, but yeah, it's been a great experience. I mean, it's, through a trade and playing for different teams and a lot of different teammates. It's it's an awesome experience.
Yeah, you're probably getting to know a lot of different guys, certain personalities and that kind of stuff. But is there like anybody that you kind of started with that you still keep in contact with, like once the professional part of your career kind of started? Like, who was your day one, I guess, maybe is the question.
I don't know. I mean, I think back to a couple of the guys I lived with like my first season, but I traded 4 or 5 months into that, so we haven't been too much in touch. But I mean, I kind of came over here the same time as Jameis and Hannah. Like we were both in trades, we were both outfielders. I feel like we've gone through the steps kind of together. So I say once I got here, I feel like we've been kind of grinding through it together. So we played together a lot. And
yeah, because you guys have both kind of same kind of timeline, same kind of like some injuries here and there, kind of just doing the whole grind thing together. Is that kind of, not that like doing the grind and that, but like having that somebody that you can kind of lean on constantly? Like,
yeah, I don't say that negatively. I feel like we throw the word grind around a lot in baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had both had some injuries and kind of been on the same track. So I feel like we have similar experiences.
Yeah. Kind of that somebody just kind of talk through this and like vent, so to speak, those late night locker room talks that I hear some guys have, getting through that. So like this year, I thought you were fantastic last year. You've been on my radar just like as a fan watching it, like Sean Bashar, and I was like, all right, so Jmmy Herron is next, like same kind of player profile and stuff. And then I'm seeing what you're working on, seeing some of your traditional numbers now. Like, what's some of those steps that you are trying to take from your great year last year to this year, and what are you kind of working on this year?
I mean, it's a lot of the same stuff. I feel like the more you play, the more you realize the type of player you are, and then just trying to be as consistent as possible with what you do. And I feel like last year I'd really like put it all together. The previous year I feel like I thought I had a good season. I play quite as much, but I felt like I was playing well, playing consistently, doing a little bit of everything. And then last year, I played a lot, but I was super consistent. I was healthy the whole year. Could do a little bit of everything. Use my legs. I could drive the ball, steal some bases, play defense in the outfield, and really just trying to stay on that, get better, really at everything. Defensively, stay on top of the arm, stay on top of the legs, and then just you keep getting those at bats and trying to learn about yourself or different approaches in a way to try to consistently just beat pitchers, whether that be get on base or drive the ball, depending on the situation, and just trying to lock on those things and contribute anyway.
So like nothing specifically, it's just like, all right, just kind of growing a little bit with the skills that you have.
Yeah. And I say in the off season, I'm trying to my body, work on work on my legs, hitting, working on driving the ball, trying to, you're always, it's a slug game in the big leagues. So trying to attack that, but also, I don't want to lose, what I've been good at. And that's, I feel good plate discipline. I can walk, see pitches. So working on, driving the ball, but still those things that have always come more natural to me, making sure they stay there.
How hard is that? So like we hear about all these adjustments and like you have like a guy like you were near 400 OBP last year. And so you're adding this power thing to your repertoire. Like how hard is it to make that power swing, so to speak? The only thing I can kind of relate it to is MLB The Show, where I can hit X and hit for contact or hit circle and hit for power. Like, is it something like that with your swing, like in real life?
Kind of. I mean, I think it's hard because sometimes you see guys, they spend off season trying to make some drastic change, and then you get back and you're facing, 95 to 98, and it doesn't work, and then you're behind. And so it's like, how much can you push it while still keeping the game in mind and understanding that, like, all right, is this type of stuff going to work? I think more of it is, you get the experience, and then you know when to take your shots, and maybe you get better at hitting a slider out front up in the air, as opposed to be like, oh, I used to only be able to hit the fastball for a homer. So like kind of, working on stuff like that and not making it too much of an overhaul that you just like, I think the off season can be dangerous times with that stuff. So just trying to, make small changes and they'll play up over time.
Yeah. Because you probably almost have too much time on your hands in the off season. So you're like, all right.
Yeah, and you're not getting at bats, so it's it's hard to test what you're working on.
Yeah, that's interesting. I can't say I've ever really thought about that. You always hear off season workouts. I'm working on this, working on that, but like you really need all that time to actually implement what you've been working on to see if it actually works too.
Yeah,
I would say that's not something I really kind of thought about. So I kind of with that, won't take up too much of your time. Coming up on 13. The ABS system so you've had to adjust to it the last 1.5 seasons or so. Like, how much do you hate it? Do you and Jordan Pacheco kind of get into a little conversation? Because I know he has some thoughts about it. But honestly, like, what is kind of the ABS? Like, how you adjusted to that? Is it difficult? I guess enlighten us about the ABS.
Yeah, it's different. I mean, the pitchers definitely don't like it. We do we have our 6-game series. The first 3, it's like full robot. So it's basically the umpire is just there to tell you what the robot tells them. And they also have the square up on the video board.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it helps with learning the zone. Like as a hitter, the first 3 games, every pitch, you can look up at the board and see exactly where it is. So you're kind of like trying to learn exactly where the corners are, where the top, the bottom. So I feel like it can make you more aware of that as a hitter. You can definitely be more patient and stingent with certain calls because, if you're in a 3-0 count and a guy throws one like this far off the corner, most umpires are going to call that a strike, but now it's a ball.
Right.
So things like that. And then the challenge system, I feel like it feels a little bit more normal. And then there's that extra strategic aspect of like, all right, should I take a chance and use one of our challenges here? Sometimes you might want to wait till there's a couple guys on base or it's a more of a high leverage spot. Because if you do lose those, then, the umpire has a little bit more free reign. But it's definitely different. It probably feels, at least the guys who have been in the big leagues, they say it feels a little bit tighter down here. I think there's certain pitches and certain guys, depending on your height, sometimes the top feels tall. I think if you're a taller guy. But for me, I think it feels pretty normal. Certain counts or just sometimes it feels like the corners might be a little bit tighter. But I say the challenge system feels pretty normal, but you can, if the ump really big miss, you can kind of correct it. So
yeah. So kind of playing the game with inside the game, that extra step, that mental step, like when to use it, how to use it, and when to swing, how to swing. Yeah, that's interesting.
It's very embarrassing if you challenge a call and then you look up at the ball comes in and it's like in the zone. So you teammates won't let you hear the end of that one, so you gotta make sure your eyes are locked in.
That's funny. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm just getting some trash talk after that. All right, last question, then we'll get you out of here. So Trevor Boone up in Spokane was interviewed about like why he is still playing. Like he's 25, 26, still up in the high A, and I thought it was interesting. He's just like, I love the game, I want to play. So I was like, all right, man, I think I just kind of want to end some of these banter sessions with that question, like why baseball? Why are you still playing? Why are you still doing what you're doing?
I would say it's pretty similar to Booney's answer. I love it. I mean, I played it my whole life. I still feel like there's that kid in me when I'm playing. It's like a hobby too. I love watching games. I love Major League Baseball. I watch, all the highlights pretty much every night or morning of MLB games. So I think that makes it more fun too. It's like it's my career and I work, super hard at it. But it's also it's like what I enjoy. It's my hobby. So and it's I don't know. It's a fun challenge. Like you worked your whole life and triple now, and it's like, man, I could get to the big league soon. Like I'm so close, and it's fun just trying to, play the game, make memories. Teammates. Like it's really unique just to be in these situations. So just taking full advantage of that and taking as long and far as I can. Really.
Yeah, I love that answer. That's that you have to have that kind of mentality and that kind of probably outlook on it. Like, otherwise, I don't think you and I
Yeah,
are sitting here right now.
it's too hard if you're not, if you're not into it and
Yeah,
trying to enjoy it. It becomes tough sometimes.
yeah, for sure. Well, I appreciate you hanging out with us and having the conversation. You're one of our guys now. I mean, kind of been we've been watching you for a while. We've been kind of hyping you up.
Finally making on here. It's
Yeah.
follow you guys on social media and stuff. So.
All right, well, I appreciate that. So now you're one of our guys. We'll keep rooting for you, keep doing our part, and you keep doing yours and keep grinding, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, sounds good. Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man.